Hello everyone, I am Raman. Thanks for listening to me. Let me start with a request to you. Please close your eyes for some time and imagine that you are Gayatri Devi, a woman living in one of the towns in states like Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand or elsewhere in India. It's a very hot morning in your city and you are walking down the narrow lane in a neighborhood street. You enter the backyard of the first house in the street and see the smelly, disgusting shit at the designated corner. You are putting some ash on it, collecting it using a hand shovel and putting it into a metal pan or a bucket. Going to next house with the pan or bucket on your head. Shit again. You are doing all the same. All houses over. Now you are going to a distant isolated area of the town, carrying the collection on your head and disposing it and coming back home. At the end of the month, you get 40 rupees, just 40 rupees per household as your wage for this work. Now, please open your eyes. Why? You probably can't even imagine yourself doing this. Let me tell you that she is not an imaginary character at all. There are thousands of such Gayatri Devis in India doing this hugely disgusting and undignified work for a meager or no income. They do this just out of livelihood and societal compulsions. Work of people like Gayatri Devis used to be a common scene across India till recently, wherein some communities are expected to and used to do this work through generations as a result of the caste system. During a study in 2018, in just 36 habitations of 12 towns in 4 states, we found close to 900 such workers who work in around 2,000 dry latrines. When this is the story of just 12 towns, can you envisage how bad the situation is across the entire country with more than 4,000 urban locations? Gayatri Devi's story is just one of the many stories of women engaged in manual scavenging. However, the term manual scavenging is not just limited to her work but covers all form of direct interface with fecal matter during work. Other forms include cleaning fecal matter on railway lines and disposing them, getting into choked nalas or deep drainages filled with filthy waste, water and human waste for cleaning or repairing them. Finally, the most risky one, getting into choked sewer manholes and chambers of sewage treatment plants for repairing them or entering into septic tanks and toilet holding tanks for emptying them. The presence of toxic gases and other risky elements in these structures have killed and have been killing thousands of workers. We heard about a couple of such deaths just weeks ago. In these cases, the primarily affected may be men, but the ultimate life burden and challenges are on women again in those families. So, who are these workers? Most of them come from the very background of Bharat Ratna Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, one of the creators of the Constitution of India. They mainly belong to specific caste groups who are still considered to be untouchables in several parts of India, even after we as a nation have taken a constitutional opposition against untouchability. These workers continue to face multiple layers of discrimination. First, of the stigma of the caste they born into, making most of them to live without confidence and self-esteem and a dignified space within the mainstream society. Also the caste-based discrimination and atrocities on them by the mainstream society, us. Second, of the shame and mental trauma of the work that they do and the life-threatening situations and health risks therein. You will get the answers for why many into sanitation related work, mainly men, are dependent on alcohol or other substances. Third, the informal nature of their work and the meager income that they get for it, and the poverty as well as lack of social security that they live due to this. Except a few who are in formal municipal jobs, most of these workers especially women like Gayatri Devi, work for different individuals and family without any formal contract. Our 2021 study found over 60% of them earn as low as an income between just 240 and 4,500 rupees per month. Remember, the minimum wages suggested by the Labour Ministry for cleaning jobs is 350 rupees per day. Moreover, over 1/5 of the women we met during this study were having no work and earning, either due to the fact that the dry latrines they used to work are no more there, or the household did not want them to work during the pandemic. Fourth, the gender-based discrimination faced by the women in these communities and different forms of violence and atrocities that they face. We are coming across, and many times not coming across, such incidents regularly. While hearing these difficulties, we might be feeling their pain. A lot of sympathy might be forming and flowing in our minds. But are these something that they need? No. They need a respected life, a dignified feeling that they are also part of the society, and a decent income. How can we as a society ensure this? Are you aware that I have been talking about something that got outlawed since 1993 in India by way of prohibition of engaging people for manual cleaning of dry latrines and mandated conversion of such latrines? Then this very same law was strengthened in 2013 with an expanded definition, institutional frameworks for proper implementation and mandates for rehabilitation of these workers liberated from this work. The Supreme Court of India had issued an order in 2014 that mandates all states to ensure proper implementation of this act. Do you know about and support people and social movements that work for the basic human rights and freedoms of these workers? The 2013 law mandates union or all state governments to ensure proper enumeration and identification of all people engaged in this work, with involvement of community organizations who are working for the upliftment of these workers. It envisions complete rehabilitation of these workers and makes a number of provisions like one-time cash assistance, skill and training programs, loans and other support for setting up new livelihoods, educational aid to the children of these households, housing and other support for helping everyone engaged in this work and their young generations. But how are these legal provisions implemented in practice? In order to avoid the challenges of identifying and supporting these workers, many local bodies and districts simply declared that they have already eradicated this practice in their jurisdiction on paper. They even filed legal affidavits stating this and showing zero manual scavengers in their area. The doors of potential rehabilitation were closed for these people engaged in this work, as the very existence of them was denied, and they continued to be in the work in discreet manners, as this was the only work that the society could imagine as they can and should do. When we, together with the Center for Equity Studies, analyzed the ground realities and compared it to the government statistics, it was really shocking. In an Uttar Pradesh town, it was found that over 319 people had applied for aid under schemes aiding manual scavengers, yet the local authority claimed that there were no manual scavengers. Can you imagine that? Just 30% of around 1,700 women who were into this work were enrolled into the list of manual scavengers. This is a finding of a 2018 survey held by my organization, together with Association for Rural and Urban Needy, which is the NGO platform that supports Safai Karmachari Andolan. Most of them had not received the one-time cash assistance, despite they applied for the same. The bigger problem came since the local authorities have declared their localities as manual scavenging free, and applications from other women could not be accepted even for various benefits under earmarked schemes, as they could not prove their existence and engagement as manual scavengers. the acceptance rate of applications of their children for school admissions was just above 5%. Those who studied are still unable to enter the mainstream.
मैं कई कंपनियों में गया, इंटरव्यू दिया, जॉब दिया, जब मुझे कुछ नहीं मिला, मुझे मजबूरन रोड पे झाड़ू लगानी पड़ी फिर से, और मैं अब भी लगा रहा हूँ। शाम को मार्केट लगेगी, उनसे 2-2 रुपये 5-5 रुपये लेता हूँ, फिर शाम को उनकी सफाई करता हूँ। क्यों? क्योंकि जब हमारा स्किल, मैंने बताया ना कि सबसे बड़ी कमी नॉलेज और स्किल, हमारी वो नॉलेज उस तरह की जनरेट नहीं हो पाई, हम उस चीज़ में परिपक्व नहीं हो पाए, हम समाज के अनुसार पढ़ नहीं पाए, हमें जो चाहिए था वो हमें नहीं मिल पाया, तो हमें मजबूरन ही उस काम में जाना पड़ेगा। तो अब जब हम उस काम में मजबूरन हमें दोबारा उस काम में जाना पड़ा, तो हमें ये लगता है कि यार यही हमारी रीत है, इसको हमें करना ही पड़ेगा, हम इससे ऊपर नहीं निकल सकते।
समाज भी बार बार यही बोलता है,
और समाज भी यही बोलता है। समाज, अब मैं कहीं अच्छी जॉब पे चला गया और मेरे से कोई गलती हो गई, तो पता है मेरे को इसी चीज़ का ताना देंगे कि यार एक तो तुझे हमने रख के ही गलती कर ली, क्योंकि तेरे लायक के काम नहीं था, क्योंकि तू आता उस समाज से जिसमें तुझे वही काम अच्छा रहता है जो तू करता हुआ आ रहा है, तुझे अच्छा काम तुझे ही नहीं कर पा रहा, तो बता अब क्या रखें। तो मेरे अंदर भी एकदम से मोरल मेरा डाउन हो जाएगा, यार ये सही कह रहे हैं, मैं कॉन्फिडेंस कम हो जाएगा कि यार सच्ची में मैं नहीं कर पाऊंगा इस चीज़ को, मेरा काम सफाई का है, मुझे वही करना चाहिए। तो लोगों के अंदर ये चीज़ इस तरह बिठाई जाती है।
At the end of our project, when we reached out to a sample of these workers in 4 towns of 2 states in March 2021, just March 2021, just 1% of those applied for one-time cash assistance had received it. Even those who started small enterprises, they failed due to the non-acceptance because of their caste by mainstream populations.
सब्जी की दुकान हम नहीं खोल सकते, ना ही हमसे कोई सब्जी लेगा। मैमोस की दुकान खोल ली थी हमने, वो हमसे नहीं ली कि भाई ये तो भंगी है।
While there are hues and cries about the benefits poured over the deprived classes, out of around 18,000 million rupees allocated for rehabilitation of manual scavengers during the last decade, the reported spending as per available data is less than 1/10 of this allocation. This speaks volumes about the attention that we are able to pay to this weakest section of workers. Currently, only 7 states have formed Safai Karmachari Commissions or entrusted this job to any other institutions. The case of other institutions are similar. Laws and program, while they are necessary, are not enough to help these workers leave behind manual scavenging and embrace a new livelihood. Their implementation matters. I should say that our science and technology sector is equally cruel to these workers. It appears that the society as well as the economy wants to continue availing the cheap labor from these poor workers and communities, and the science and technology sector and its leaders also do not want to address the caste-based discriminations and oppression that these people suffer, and to reform the exploitative and informal nature of their work. In these situations, how would these workers realize their dreams to be liberated from this work and to live a dignified life even if they want? We are liable to find answers and to realize them. How would we do this? First of all, we will have to open our eyes and accept the harsh fact that the society is extremely cruel to these workers, and it has a responsibility towards these workers. Second, as active youth and citizens, we need to find out and enumerate these workers properly and their work as well as livelihood realities. One can develop technologies and create volunteer groups for crowdsourcing full data on them, which is missing and acting as an excuse, and we need to build mechanisms to hold the officials responsible and accountable. This is the only way to put an end to the denial of the existence of these workers. We will have to use our powers for these powerless people to get them enrolled into what they rightfully deserve. Third, building and using real-time database monitoring, we will also have to ensure that no more insanitary dry latrines exist in our urban or rural locations, and no one is entering into the risky sewer lines and dying, or septic tanks and sewage treatment plants to get toxic gases and die. Such vigilance will ensure that the programs and guidelines which are already there will start to get implemented. Fourth, we must find ways to address the intergenerational problems that these communities are facing and the exploitation that our mainstream society is still doing to them. Helping their next generations to attain place in educational institutions and programs and to make them succeed in completing them will be very, very important. Students and academic community can take up this responsibility. I'll end with an optimistic note here that the strength of those who are actually working for the dignity, health, safety and well-being of these workers like Gayatri Devi and others, those people will be enhanced by the efforts of those who have tuned into listening to me. I look forward to that day where manual scavenging has been eradicated from the current generation of these workers and the traces of it from the next generation. Thank you.